This is from the book, and I just tell you, this is the best book I've bought in a long time. Watercolor is for everyone. We did a thing on this a couple weeks ago. Kateri Ewing. If I were you, get one of these. I think even if we do all of these lessons, I think just having it, reading her text and her instruction about why things are done, I just think it's really a very nice book, and it makes watercolor really accessible. And it just, for me, I got lots of joy doing this one, and this one's called she calls it the two-color Pondscape. I did a little bit of changes, a little bit, but the idea was fabulous, and so we're going to do that today. So what you're going to need is I have a piece of paper. This is 6x8. Then I masked it, or actually I put the masking tape, and I mounted it to a board. And it's good to have something like this so you can tilt it, because you want the colors to bleed. So get something, mount it to something. If you hopefully have something, or if you don't have anything mounted, you can just lift up your paper. The other thing is you want to have two colors. Now, I'll tell you about how I picked my two colors and ways to do it. You'll need just a brush, doesn't matter, one that will work for a large wash. A little bit of metallic watercolor, whatever color, anything you want to try. A little bit of salt, just a pinch of salt. I've got like a pinch of salt, and some water, and that's it. So the two colors I picked today are indigo, and it's kind of a dark, it's not even indigo, I don't know, it's a dark gray blue, kind of almost a Paynes gray. Indigo would be beautiful, and Quinacridone Gold. Those are the two colors. But I'm going to show you how I picked them. And then this is what you want to do if you have a piece of scrap watercolor paper. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to just kind of show you how I picked the color combinations. So what you do is you take on your scrap paper, just take combinations of two colors that you want to try, and we're going to make little swatches, and you're going to find out in your collection which of the colors are going to be the best for your pondscape or for your landscape. When we also, I have a glass pen here because I'm going to make little lines, but if you just want to use a pencil, you can use a pencil or a very fine tip pen, but possibly I think a pencil would be even more nice looking. Just going to show you how I picked my colors. So I've got like an arrangement of different watercolors here, and there we go. Just going to show you what you want to try to do is just take two colors that sort of mix well together, what you think will mix well together. So I've got this, I don't know what this one is. It's like a phthalo blue. It's probably a little too strong. Oh no, that's an ultramarine blue. And I'm going to put a nice puddle of it right here. And then I'm going to take that gold, the Quinacridone Gold that I love. It's like a yellow. I'm going to put them right next to each other and let them, I want to see how they go, if they blend really well, or if they mix well. That's nice, but I'm going to try some other, maybe some other combinations of these kind of natural water, sky, landscape colors. So I'm going to try, in this set, I'm going to try a little bit of, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to find out. That's kind of I don't know, that's a dark blue. It looks like kind of a similar, like a core ultramarine blue. And I'm going to use their Quinacridone Gold and see what happens, kind of mix it up. And then I'm going to just see them, how do they merge? And this is how you're going to find your two colors, because that's all we're going to do. We're only going to paint with two colors. Here, this is the two colors I picked, and I'll show you how they look. And I'm kind of excited because it's a little different than the painting I did earlier. I'm trying to think of a sky and kind of grass, or greenery or rocks, or even red, like if you had a burnt sienna, that would look great too. So that's the color. Oh yeah, it's a very deep blue gray color, and it's like I think it is Paynes gray. And I'm going to mix it with my Quinacridone Gold, and I just kind of want to see how they work together. And I think that's going to be gorgeous because I kind of wanted a different look. This one here, just to show you, is Quinacridone Gold with more of a phthalo. It's like it says it was an indigo, but it's really, really bright blue. So I'm going to try to tone it down by using this Paynes gray. If you want to do a toned down version of something, just mix two colors together, but you're basically going to paint with two colors. So, and however you make those colors, if you have a blue in your palette that's just too bright and you want to tone it down, add a little neutral tint or gray to it to give it the color you want. If you have just a bright yellow only and you don't have Quinacridone Gold, it should work, but you can tone that down if you want with a little raw umber or something like that. So whatever colors you pick, just pick two colors. So this one I really like. I think it's going to look really pretty. And I could add a little bit of blue to it just to kind of soften that, maybe not make it look so wintry, but I'm going to try it just for fun. I'm going to try these two colors, and that's that. Actually, this is the color right there. So I'm going to take these two colors. And now you also need a gold. If you have some kind of gold, I had bought these from off of Etsy a long time ago. There's like a warm gold and a really bright gold. I'm going to probably use the warm gold just to see, or I could use the white. I mean, really, it's just fun to try different things. So if you you get yourself your papers mounted onto something, or if not, go ahead and just get yourself ready. Have your paper in a landscape orientation. And now we're going to do our Pondscape. Make sure your brush is clean and fill it with just water only. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a wash going horizontally on the bottom and the top only. So I'm not going to, I don't want to do a wash all the way down. I'm going to do a wash. I'll start at my horizon. Let's say where the pond starts. I'm going to do one I'm going to take my horizontal line about, it's not in the middle. It's down the bottom third. I'm just going to go across, and I'm just going to make just wet the paper. And I want it to be shiny, not puddly, but shiny. And I'm going to do that on this. I just want that to go across, straight across. And then you're going to take the top, you're going to leave a little, about an inch. You don't want to touch, you want to leave a little bit dry. So I'm going to just go across, but I'm leaving that part dry, and I'm going to make this wet all the way back up to the edges. So I've got a little dry center area there, and I think if you can see it, there you can see, I want it to be nice and wet, especially right at the edges here. So I'm just going to, there we go. Now I need to, probably could have mixed up my colors, but if you are going to mix colors, you just want to get them ready, and so you can start putting down the color right away. So you want it to be nice and glistening with water, but not too puddly. And I'm going to take this gorgeous indigo, whatever, Paynes gray, and I'm going to just drop it right at the bottom only, along my edge here. I'm not really brushing it much. I'm just going to drop this color in. I've got a pesky little phone that's making noise. Okay, same thing. I'm going to do the same on the bottom. I'm just dropping the color right along my little edge here. I'm just going to let that, and then I can. The more concentrated I make it, the more interesting it will be. I think we'll see. More color, just dropping it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt these. And I want them to go in different directions. I want to tilt it this way, and I'm going to tilt it this way, so that it looks like the colors are kind of growing. Kind of like just letting the colors fall down, and it looks like little trees already. I can see they look like little gorgeous trees. Wow. And then the one below, I'm just going to let that go. And I have some dripping that, but that's okay. What I'm going to do too is a little differently is if you have some that's dripping way more than you want it to, just take a brush, dry it off with a paper towel, or dry your brush off and just pick up some of that, because that's just too much. So I'm just going to I'm just drying my brush off with my paper towel, and I'm just kind of lifting that off a little bit. And then just kind of keep tilting your paper until and just let it do its thing. Okay, next step, because I've got, this is really more gray than I was thinking, but I'm sticking with my plan. I'm going to have a 2-color pondscape. I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to bring another color in. So what I'm doing now is the next thing. So this is for the tree line, and I could still add more. Let me just add some more just to see. I add a little bit more, just dropping it in just to give, just to reinforce what I already did. Let's put some color down there like that. Maybe just right at the base here. Just one color. If you have whatever color you've got. Now I'm going to just kind of do the same, tilt it, and then tilt it in the other direction. So now I've got like I think I like what's happening here. That's really fun. Now to make a sky, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete. I'm going to dilute this color that I have. I don't want is concentrated. And I'm going to make a sky. What I'm doing is I'm just going to make a very light color of the same thing just at the top, just brushing it, and I'm going to repeat it on the bottom, because in water everything reflects, right? So you want to repeat the same thing. So I'm putting it on the edge of my paper, and then I'm going to just add a few clouds, or like little impressions of clouds, and I'm just going to leave that like that. Here's where patience comes in, right? We could dry it. We don't want to dry it off yet, but there's going to be, the next step is, while it's still wet, we're going to take our Quinacridone Gold. Let's see, I'm going to use this one over here. This one. That's Quinacridone Gold, and I'm going to put that, this is our second color now. We're going to be putting in our second color. Only 2 colors. I'm going to put it in the center, and I'm just going to go, I'm going to have it touch the wet areas of my painting. I'm going to go right to I'm just bringing it to touch that, to touch these edges. Doing it on the other side here. So what's going to happen is these colors are going to mingle together, and it's going to be fun watching them just mingle. I could see them doing it now. Just let it touch the wet edges of the other side and just kind of watch it do its thing. It's amazing how colors they'll just bleed into new colors, which is really gorgeous. That's why we wanted to do a test to see how they bleed together. So there is that. Now the next thing is you take some gold, and I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush. I'm taking my metallic color, and I'm going to decide if I want to go light or autumn gold. I don't know. I'm going to just go with the light. So what you need to do is, with gold or any metallic paints, if you have any pearlescent paint, if you don't today, don't worry about it. You don't need to. It's not necessary, but it's nice to have. But if you don't have it, that's okay. Just put it in the center, very center, and just kind of random. I'm not, I'm just dropping it in like that. Now the next thing, while everything's still wet, is I'm going to take my salt, and I'm going to just sprinkle a little, not a lot. I'm just sprinkling just a little. Less is more on this. Yeah, I'm just going to let it be like that. Maybe just throw some up. There we go. Okay, next step. Now this is part where we have to wait, or we use our heat gun or hair dryer. This is where it's actually, if you don't use a heat gun and you just use just let nature take its course, the colors will blend quicker. Or no, not quicker. They'll blend better. They'll take their time a little bit more. But because I'm going to use a heat gun, because I just want to, in essence of time, we're going to need to have a little help with some heat. If you live in Arizona, you can just stick it outside and it'll be ready to go. Or not all of Arizona. There's parts of Arizona that are very cold right now, but a lot of Arizona, south of where I live anyway. So I want to dry this completely until it's completely dry. And it might take a few minutes, but this is the part, just enjoy watching the colors mingle and dance together on the page. Because what happens is now you have these 2 colors are making new colors. And since I'm cheating, I guess I have 3 colors because of the metallic gold, but And the salt also does some interesting things. It creates these little white little splotches, which I think are amazing. Very organic looking. So I'm going to go ahead and just let that dry. It looks like it's pretty dry. Yep, there it is. Okay. Next step. Okay, I have to let the cat out. She wants out. Come out. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right, so now we've got this beautiful, kind of ethereal looking thing going on. I think it looks, I see the trees, but I'm gonna want to do some details, which is a little different from the book. I kind of go into a little more detail just because this is gorgeous by itself, but I want to think of a place that I've gone to in the past, and I just want to imagine myself there. So I'm going to just add some details. And with the reflection, the way it is with any reflection, when you're in water, where you're seeing water, whatever it is, a cityscape, mountains, trees, so basically, it's a mirror of the picture of the image below, above. So this basically is my horizon, and then below that is the reflection. So what we have to do is just kind of we're going to just kind of make a little bit of an impression of that division here. And this is where I kind of go off a little bit from the author, but this is what was so inspiring about that book, is that I had was inspired and then did my own thing a little bit, which is what is so great about working with other people. You just get the idea from somebody, and then you can just go from there. So I have this, basically I'm going to need to get rid of the salt, and I hope it's all dry. Basically, when you want to scrape off your salt before you start working and doing any more. So just like make sure salt will react, and it will also kind of, it's so coarse that it could damage your brushes if you're brushing along. So just kind of remove it and get the crunchy little pieces off if you have any. I'll just go ahead and wipe it off with I usually take it and I just kind of, as long as it's dry, I can just wipe it off with a paper towel like that. So it's all good, pretty smooth. A couple of places up here, forgot that I had, and back down here. Okay, so now it's good. So now I can start painting, keep working on it. So I'm really thinking this is fun, fairly pretty. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to make that kind of that in that horizon line where where the water starts and the land ends. So I'm going to mix a little bit of my Quinacridone Gold with the Paynes gray that I already have to make a green color. Just, it's already, I'm kind of mixing it with the same two colors. I haven't brought any new colors in, but I'm just going to mix that up a little bit, make a little bit of a wash. And I'm going to start, and I'm going to think about what's happening here. So I've got like I see this gold thing area here, and I'm going to just kind of start like a little random wash and get more of that color. It's not dark, but it's just a line with some kind of varied, kind of like, imagine like a rocks or the sides of the bank. That's kind of what I'm trying to kind of illustrate here, and that's why I'm putting it right in the middle. I've got my little, just to start, that's kind of a shadow, kind of in random, sort of, I don't know what that is. It's just there. So I'm gonna let that has to dry. It's not very dark. If I want to darken it, I would just kind of I want to add a little bit more color than what I have. There we go. I'm just gonna pop that in and leave that like that. And then I'm just gonna do some little spot darks and lights. And then what happens though is I need to repeat that. It's mirrored. So I need to let that dry before I do that. So let me show you what I mean. So that's the above. This is the part that goes above the water. So I got it really wet. I'm using a brush that holds so much water. You could use probably a better, like a detail brush or something, if you don't want to have laid down so much liquid. That's the only one I had on my table today, so You can just hit it with the heat gun and get that going. Now you'll notice if you have metallic, when you have the metallic, watercolors sort of they just don't layer very well over the metallic. You'll notice that. Notice it on this side over here. So you just kind of want to avoid the metallic areas if you're going to be layering. That should be like the last thing. Okay, so that's dry enough. Now what I'm going to do is take the same color that I just did. This time I'm going to try not to have so much water on it. I'm going to bring it, I'm going to do the same thing, except on the bottom, I'm just making a mirror reflection. I'm not going to really touch the other. I'm just kind of kissing the other, just getting just a little mirror, just like it was, and maybe a little wiggly compared to the one above it. Just mirror that. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just kind of like that. So that kind of gives you that reflective quality. Kind of looks more like it's kind of reflecting them. Maybe I could put some dark color in there, but right now I might just do it right in here, just a little bit. But this is where I'm thinking about the place that I'm at. I'm at a beautiful, beautiful. It's winter and it's at water. I'm going to maybe go paddle boarding. I just have to think about some fun activity that I would be doing. There we are. Okay. Next step is to either use a pencil. If you have a pencil, I'm going to use my glass pen because I just want to play with it. But if you have I'm just using graphite or very fine tip marker, but pencil would probably look better, I think, than look better in your vinyl. It just looks a little more natural, if that makes sense. You're doing markers maybe just a little harsh. So I'm going to take some of this beautiful indigo color, or not indigo, whatever that is, Paynes gray. I keep going back to the indigo. I'm going to create some ink. Well, it's really just a watercolor ink. If you have just some ink already made up, great. But this one is just, I want to use the same colors. I'm not trying not to make new colors. So let's see. Now I'm going to test this glass pen, and I'm going to draw on something just to see how it's going to work. Great. So it's making these nice little lines. That's what I want to do, is create little lines. So I'm going to dip my glass pen, and I'm going to start to make just the shapes of the trees. And I'm going to start here because I see kind of this beautiful tree. I see trees here. So, and I'm going to also kind of bring the trunks down a little bit. So here I'm going to just draw a little bit of lines, and then I'm just going to make just very simple, kind of like tree branches, like that. I don't know if you can see those, but they're there. And I'm just using the same color as the other. So I'm just going to make these beautiful little tree branches, and then have some of them go below the horizon here, like that, and just go throughout the whole top. And then you're going to repeat the same thing on the bottom, like it's the mirror image of it. You can make all kinds of different shapes. The tree things are fun because you can just kind of make them a little wonky and they look kind of natural, like this one. Here we go. The more shaky you are, the better that it looks. And with the ink, it's going to dry a lot lighter. So I like that because it recedes back into the background. But I could add more color to make it denser if I want, or I can just keep going with these colors. There we go, like that. And just bring some of those little marks a little bit below, maybe like little bushes, whatever you want to do. Just make a kind of a little landscape of line. Just make vertical lines, basically. Grasses coming off the side of the bank of your landscape, and wherever you want to do it. So now I've got that, and then I'm going to do the same thing below. So I'm going to just doing the same thing. So, but this will be even more wonky because it's reflecting, the water is reflecting. So it's not a perfect mirror image, but it's like just a reflection. I'm just going to repeat, just follow what I was doing before. Just a little mirror image. Or if you wanted to do it upside down, you can do it that way, but I think it doesn't have to be an exact replica of what's above, just something to kind of give that impression that you have there. Now I think I could go a little bit more. I'm just kind of tempted to do more. Sometimes less is more though. There we go. And then you can make little organic little dots or anything you want to do. Or if you see an animal and you want to make a little animal inside your little pondscape, that would be great too. I'm just going to repeat these little marks on the other side. Now what I'm going to do too, just to make this a little bit more of a horizon, I'm going to take my pen. If you're just using a pencil, that's fine. I'm going to darken this just a little bit, just to enhance that division where the water begins and the land ends. Right across it, right there. And then you can vary the thickness of the line and kind of just give some dark shadows if you want. I mean, because the reflection is a little bit lighter than the reality or the real thing. There you go, like that. Just kind of playing with that. And then just keep working until you are satisfied. And you'll notice, of course, it'll be a lot different once you remove the tape. So I see some pretty little things. I could make little kind of flowers. You could make little more lines just to kind of indicate the branches or trunks of trees or bushes. If you wanted to do an ocean one, that would be another exercise. That would be good with boats and stuff because the ocean is sort of endless, right? I mean, really, it's hard to see the other side. So that's why these little ponds or lakes are a little bit easier to do. All right, so I got that. I think that's done. I could add it's more of a winter scene. I see some light, beautiful white, snowy things. I think this one's done. I'm gonna just reveal it and show you how much better it will look when I take the tape off. Now I'm going to show you something this is what I like to do. I take the really good washi tape that I know is going to give a crisp line, and it's a very thin washi tape. It's only about a half an inch thick. And then I just use some masking tape to really mount the picture down. That's just kind of a nice way to get that paper to just be really flat, to lay as flat as you can. When it dries, it should be relatively flat. And it's going to look so much better when I remove this. And I'm just going to go very gently, make sure I don't tear the sides. I can see I'm loving it already now that the tape is going to be gone. And nice. Sometimes just taking your time on the tape. I've ripped so many paintings because I've hurried that part. And there it is. I think that one is really fun. And I'm going to take take it up, put it on the table so you can just see it in its entirety. And I'm really loving this. Now, you'll see the difference when I show you. This is the color combination I was really hoping for more when I didn't do the swatch test, so I just kind of went for it on the first one, and this is the first one, so it's a little bit unreal compared to this one. So it's really it's what you want to do. I mean, you could have like purple trees, I guess, right? But this one I was hoping that it would have blended more green. It would have made more green, but the blue didn't do that. It just kind of overpowered it. I still like it. I mean, I was able to kind of, if I just stack one on top, and that one's okay. But now I see this one, and I'm really loving this one.